observe the colors of a day only at its beginnings and ends, but to me it's quite clear that a day merges through a multitude of shades and intonations with each passing moment. A single hour can consist of thousands of different colors: waxy yellows, cloud spot blues, murky darkness. In my line of work, I make it a point to notice them. I wanted to tell the book thief many things about beauty and brutality, but what could I tell her about those things that she didn't already know? I wanted to explain that I am constantly overestimating and underestimating the human race, that rarely do I ever simply estimate it. I wanted to ask her how the same thing could be so ugly and so glorious, and its words and stories so damning and brilliant. Elizabeth is the only friend I have left. The others are in homes or graves. She's a fan of these running about selling thing programs and has a hope for one day finding a disregarded treasure. She buys all sorts of hideous plates and vases from charity shops, her fingers crossed for a fortune. Sometimes I buy her things too. Bits of garish china mostly. It's sort of a game. Who can find the ugliest piece of pottery at the charity shop? Rather childish, but I've begun to find that being with Elizabeth, laughing with her, is the only time I feel like myself. I have an idea that there was something I had to remember about Elizabeth. Perhaps she wanted me to go get her something, a boiled egg or some chocolate. Eggs, milk, ? Chocolate. I turn my bit of paper around to catch the light. There's a glossy cardboardy smell in the shop, and it's like being in the larder at home. Eggs, milk, chocolate. Eggs, milk, chocolate. I say the words, but I can't quite think of what the things look like. Could they be in any of these boxes in front of me? I carry on muttering the list under my breath as I shuffle about the shop, but the words begin to lose meaning and are like a chant. I've got summer squash written down here, but I don't think they sell that here. If a painting really works down in your heart and changes the way you see and think and feel, you don't think, oh, I love this picture, it's universal. I love this picture because it speaks to all of mankind. That's not the reason anyone loves a piece of art. It's a secret whisper from an alleyway. Psst, you. Hey kid, yes, you. That life, whatever else it is short. That fate is cruel but maybe not random. That nature, meaning death, always wins. But that doesn't mean we have to bow and grovel to it. That maybe, even if we're not always so glad to be here, it's our task to immerse ourselves anyway. Wade straight through it. Right through the cesspool, while keeping eyes and hearts open. And in the midst of our dying, as we rise from the organic and sink back ignominiously into the organic, it is a glory and a privilege to love what death doesn't touch. Sarah Anderson left her office at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning in June for her 10 o'clock appointment with Stanley Perlman. She hurried out of the building at One Market Plaza, stepped off the curb, and hailed a cab. It occurred to her, as it always did, that one of these days when she met with him, it would really be for the last time. He was always said it would be. She had begun to accept him to live forever, despite his protests and in spite of the realities of time. Her law firm handled his affairs for more than half a century. She had been his estate and tax attorney for the last 3 years. At 38, Sarah had been a partner of the firm for the past 2 years and had inherited Stanley as a client when his previous attorney died. She was sad for him at times. Although there was nothing depressing about him, and he rarely felt sorry for himself, he still barked orders at his nurses, read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal daily, as well as the local newspapers, loved pastrami sandwiches and hamburgers, and spoke with fascinating accuracy and historical detail about his years growing up in the Lower East Side of New York. He had come to San Francisco at 16 in 1924. He had been remarkably clever at finding jobs, making deals, working for the right people, and seizing opportunities. He had bought property, always in unusual circumstances, sometimes preying on others' misfortunes. Ye are blood of my blood and bone of my bone. I give ye my body, that we two might be one. I give you my spirit, till our death shall be done. People disappear all the time. Ask any policeman. Better yet, ask a journalist. Disappearances are bread and butter to journalists. Young girls run away from home. Young children stray from their parents and are never seen again. Housewives reach the end of their tether and take the grocery money in a taxi to the station. International financiers change their names and vanish into the smoke of imported cigars. Many of the lost will be found, eventually, dead or alive. Disappearances, after all, have explanations. Usually. Crap, she muttered under her breath, her heart sinking. She didn't have AAA. And though her father had taught her how to change a tire back when she learned to drive, she wasn't sure that her spare was functional, or if she even had a jack. Whatever the hell it was, she needed to change the flat. Now what? She could go inside and ask for help, or take a cab, but where? Whether she liked it or not, she'd have to depend on the kindness of strangers. Need help? A rough voice asked. She turned to find the guy in the black Stetson walking across the parking lot. Relief swept through her. It's my tire, flat as a pancake. Let me take a look. Doesn't look like I can drive. Her eyes were trained on the wheel when he moved sharply, startling her. Before she could get away, he yanked her body hard against him. Hey, she said, half screamed, half intrigued, until he shoved something over her mouth, his hand, thickened with a leather glove that muffled her cry. Panic shot through her. What the hell was going on?